Welcome to Iain Tyrrell Moments. This is a spin-off channel which has been quietly in the background for some time, which has sort of been spawned from my Tyrrell's Classic Workshop channel. And this is more focused not around the cars per se. The Tyrrell's Classic Workshop is very much for car-based viewers. This is something a bit different. In my life, I've come across some very interesting characters indeed in the music, movie, entertainment, celebrity world. And this channel is just a little bit of an insight into the performing arts and that side of the aspect of my life, really. And this video is something that I shot in October 2015. This is where the two worlds clash. The celebrity rarefied movie world and the world of the exotic cars in the workshop. So exotic cars, exotic people. And one such person was Sir Ken Adam, and he was a movie set designer. He designed over 70 movies, including 7 James Bond films, for which he was very highly lauded, and also he designed Dr. Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick film, and he went on to design many films, including winning Oscars and BAFTAs and all sorts of things like that. And one of the Bond films he designed was The Spy Who Loved Me, with those wonderful Lotus Esprit submarine cars. We have Exhibit A here, a white Lotus Esprit. Not dissimilar to the car that was used in the film. And of course, no video about a Bond connection would be complete without an Aston Martin from the 1960s lurking in the background as well. So I was fortunate enough to be, I didn't know it at the time, but I was the last person ever to interview Sir Ken Adam. He invited me to his house because he owned a Rolls-Royce, a very rare Rolls-Royce, one of 3 right-hand drive built Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud Mulliner adaptation drop heads. How about that for a mouthful? I had the pleasure of being involved with that car very heavily, and he invited me into his home to interview him, and as I say, I was the last person to do so. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce that video on the Iain Tyrrell Moments channel, and it's not about cars, it's about the world of movies and James Bond and that sort of thing. I hope you enjoy it. Sir Ken was 94 when we made this film, and he was still as sharp as a tack. So the interview with Sir Ken Adam, enjoy. Well, Sir Ken, thank you very much for allowing me into your home. It's very gracious of you.
It's a pleasure.
I've been a fan of yours from a very small age, actually.
Really?
Unknowingly at first. Because when I was, I think, about 10, which would be 1973-ish,
Yeah.
I went with a friend to the Pictures, as it was called then, the cinema, and his mother bought a James Bond double bill for us all. And it was You Only Live Twice and Dr. No.
Oh, so you had
And
2
of
of
course-
my films. Yeah.
Yes, 2 of your films. And I was spellbound by the sets, and that cave in You Only Live Twice was marvellous, marvellous. But you've led such an incredibly varied and interesting life. I mean, I've done a bit of research, and you flew Hawker Typhoons in
That's right, yeah.
in the Second World War.
Yeah.
The Tank Busters, as they were called, weren't they? Tank Busters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a serious aircraft with a 24-cylinder Napier Sabre engine.
Yeah.
But you also flew, even though you were a German national, you flew for the RAF.
That's right. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your recollections of that, you know, apart from...
Well, I didn't have so much time to think about it, because if I had been taken a prisoner or something like that, there would have been curtains, you know.
Yes.
But so I forgot.
Yes.
And in any case, we were flying for that time at big speeds, and attack and get out,
Yes.
mainly for ground troops or,
Yes.
And the great danger of the newer pilots, they tried to get out too fast, and they went into a high-speed stall and straight into the ground, because the Typhoon was not it was a great plane, but it was not a fully aerobatic plane or anything like that. But we really didn't have much time to think about that.
No, indeed.
No.
Survival.
Yeah.
Yes. But and also one other thing I found out is that you obviously at one stage you were almost did the set for 2001, but I gather you were quite you had a good friendship with Stanley Kubrick. Is that?
Yes, I did. I did. I forget it now. Zimmer. What was the title of the Kubrick picture? I did it at Shepperton.
Not Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove, yeah.
Yes.
You got it, yeah. And in a strange way, I think it was one of the most important films I did for him, and he did, because it was very experimental, and we had some wonderful actors in it, including Peter Sellers, who was somewhat difficult to cope with at times. But, and fortunately, I had a great relationship with Stanley. I mean, because I was driving an E-Type Jaguar at the time, and Stanley was shit scared, and he said, "I don't allow you to drive at more than 30 miles an hour." I said, "Stanley, be my guest," Of course, we did drive faster, but you also have to think, I probably drove Stanley for, I don't know, 5 months or something like that, to and from Shepperton Studios, and you get to know each other pretty well,
Particularly driving at 30 miles an hour.
Particularly driving at 30 miles an hour. And on top of that, I ran out of... He always wanted to know my stories as a fighter pilot and so, and I ran out of stories, so I had to invent some stories. But it's a long time ago, and in a way, a nice memory.
Yes. Was he quite a reclusive individual?
Yes. Highly intelligent. Reclusive. I only found, and you would not believe it, 2 people I was closely involved with in films. One was a woman and the other one was a man. One was Stanley Kubrick and the other one was Barbara Streisand. And they both could have been brother and sister or something, because their way of talking and expressing themselves was so similar.
Really?
Yeah. It was very strange, yeah.
And did they know each other? Did they ever meet, to your knowledge?
Not that I know of.
Remarkable.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable. Yeah.
But of course, obviously Dr. Strangelove is still regarded as hugely influential even to this day, actually, your work on Dr. Strangelove. You set a precedent which I think people are still walking in the shoes of today.
Yes, well, the precedent was, from Stanley's point of view, very simple, because I was already trying to experiment with, at that time, new methods and so on, and Stanley was against it. He said, I want the old-fashioned way.
Really?
Yeah. it's amazing that he was that way on Strangelove, you know. What he shot, he wanted in the can, you know.
Yes.
And later on other pictures, he became more experimental. But on Strangelove, he wanted every foot of film in the can, you know.
Amazing, because we think of him as being very avant-garde and things like that. But,
Yes.
but he was developing, obviously.
Yes, he was developing. He was avant-garde in his way of thinking about the film and how he wanted to treat the film. Not so much in terms of technique but in terms of what he was trying to say with the film, you know. And he was, in that respect, unbelievably talented. He was a difficult person. Actually, there were other reasons. He was still living in New York, and he had spent 1 year doing research with NASA. And I knew that I could only win my arguments with him when I knew more or less as much about what I was trying to design as he did. And there was no chance on that because, what was his name? Charlie Staffel was ex-NASA, and he had designed all the gimmicks for gadgets for the film, so I didn't do it, you know. I felt if what I do matters, then I'm willing to go through hell if necessary to do it, you know.
Yes.
But not to play second fiddle or third fiddle, you know.
I mean, you've met so many well-known and talented and creative and intelligent people in the movie industry. Is there anybody that particularly stands out to you?
Well, I think you hit the person. I think Kubrick, though he was a pain in the ass, I'm sorry to say, and very difficult at sometimes, but he certainly was the most talented person I worked with. And I was fortunate that we got on like a house on fire, you know, but he was completely relentless, so working hours, whatever, towards even at midnight. So it didn't do me any good at that time, you know.
No.
No.
You had to keep up with him, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And he would keep up with
And just to talk about obviously your huge link with the Bond films over the years, those wonderful sets. Even the set from Dr. No, I remember, with the tarantula in the cage, when he goes to Crab Key, and you know, that lovely vent in the ceiling, that window that looks.
I'm so pleased you're bringing this up because it's my favorite set.
Really?
Yeah, but you know why? Because I'd run out of money. I had forgotten about this set, and I think I had £460 left to do it. And so I thought it interesting to build the set in perspective, you know.
Yes.
And just have one chair for dressing and that opening and the ceiling. So it was very simple, really, and one door. And it worked, you see.
Yes.
So I was very pleased with that.
Well, that's amazing that we've struck the same. We've landed on the because that's the one that shouted out at me because it's so wide angle and
Right.
well
so almost unreally perspective.
Right.
It's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
but-
because I built the whole set on a platform, and the camera was below the platform. So that's why you got also these strange perspectives, the few there were.
Yes, yeah. And of course, you designed that wonderful supertanker set for. That was on the 007 stage at Pinewood, wasn't it?
Yes, the interior of it.
Yes.
The exterior we built in Jamaica, I think, or one of the other. And I can't remember what scale it was, but it was pretty big. It was about 30 feet or something like that.
Right.
The model, you know.
Yes. Yes. But I believe once again your relationship with Kubrick, he lit that secretly, didn't he? The Spy Who Loved Me set or something like that. Is that true that that Stanley Kubrick lit that?
Which set?
The interior of the tanker in The Spy Who Loved Me.
He spent some time,
Right.
with me on the set, but gave some advice, but he didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was a very, very difficult set to light that.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well, whatever Stanley was brilliant in photography and lighting. You know, I respected that and admired that.
Yes. Yes.
And one took a lot of other things.
Yes. Indeed.
Which it
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned Peter Sellers. Did you sort of know him through the years? I sort of. I mean, I'm a huge Peter Sellers fan. I thought the Pink Panther films were priceless, really.
Yeah.
But he wasn't an easy man, was he?
No, not at all. Very difficult.
But oh so talented, you know.
Unbelievably talented. Yeah.
Do you have any particular memories of your time with him? Or?
Oh well. Yes, many, but it would be too long to think, because really the memories are that he didn't keep to the script. So he invented as he went along.
Right.
Thank God we had good actors with him, who played the Mad General. Who was it?
Herbert Lom, was it?
No. American. In Dr. Strangelove, I'm thinking.
Oh, goodness me.
Well, don't worry about it.
Help us.
And you never knew what Stanley was coming up with, you know. But so fortunately we had very good actors with him. Some of these, I wouldn't like to say unrehearsed, but some of these scenes which were partly invented by Kubrick, and some of them was brilliant scenes, you know.
Yes. And the obviously the Rolls Royce, which you've had for 40 years.
Yeah.
Is it true that you used to have that shipped around the world wherever you were working with your?
No, not around the world, but almost. Yes, it went to mainly California, you know, where I was living, and it became quite famous because the American film people are pretty snobs, you know. And when they saw that white Rolls Royce arrive, they allowed me to park it on the lot, you know, but not in the parking lot, but on the lot. So it became quite famous.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd arrived, had you? Okay.
Yeah.
But you used to travel to Pinewood in that, presumably. You used to.
Yes, of course.
Almost every day, really.
Yeah, every day. No.
It
As,
could
lo-
almost.
as long as it didn't. No, it was very good, actually.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Could almost drive itself there, I
Yeah,
suspect.
yeah. And when you say that, it's quite amazing, because I'm married for many years to a very beautiful Italian wife, and but she really didn't want to drive a car. She said, "I'll leave you to drive cars," and I had very good friends and so on. And then one day on the Pacific Coast Highway in Los Angeles, I talked her into driving, and she did beautifully until we arrived at our house, you know, it facing the back road, and there was a garage, and so she had to turn in, and as she reversed, she hit the sort of bollard.
Oh dear. It was all going so well.
Yeah, it was all going so well. Mind you, she didn't do a lot of damage, but it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you obviously have I mean, we've touched on your flying the amazingly unruly almost aircraft, the Hawker Typhoon, but you've obviously have an affinity with machinery. But am I right in thinking you designed Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as well?
Yeah. Well, Chitty was quite a different challenge in a way, because here I'm supposed to design a very sexy car of the turn of last century, you know, and which works, and that was one of my most difficult jobs as a designer, and Pinewood will never forget it, because that drove everybody crazy, you know. Because, you know, you like to have it streamlined and something, you know. But in the end, it worked, you know.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything? Do you have any regrets about things that you would like to have done that you either through circumstances or lack of time or whatever else you didn't, or you know? Is there anything you'd like to have done that you didn't manage to, or?
No, I don't think I'm when you ask me like that, I'm aware of that, because I nearly always did the things I wanted to do, I liked to do, even if at times they were very difficult and I had to ask for help and so on. But no, in a strange way, the more complicated something, the more I liked it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man after my own heart, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm at my happiest when I'm like a pig in mud when I have a complicated car to sort out.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you, what's your proudest achievement, really? We've touched on the Dr. No set, but what's the thing you're most proud of looking back, would you say?
Well, it's difficult to say, because I did about 70 films, you know. But since Kubrick was a brilliant director, obviously some of the films, I think Dr. Strangelove was with the War Room, you know.
Yes.
Which was a complete invention, and using old technique. Because Stanley at that time said, well, why don't you get Charlie Staffel, who was at Pinewood, to bring some of his new equipment in? And I said, I can, but you are so particular about losing time, huh? He said, you're right. And we used all the old methods, and he didn't lose any time, you know, for breakdown or anything. Or the problems, of course, were sometimes in the shooting, you know, in difficult setups and so on. And also, I used to recce all the helicopter shots. And actually, with a big camera, I was not very happy sitting on the open door, you know.
Yes.
So I wasn't a hero then, but I felt it had to be done to get what I wanted, you know.
Yes.
And
So you weren't afraid of manning a camera yourself then, basically?
no. It had to be always pretty secret, you know.
Right. Yes. Yes. Gosh, is there anything you haven't done, Sir Ken?
Oh yes, I think a lot of things.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to meet you,
Oh, nice to say so.
and thank you very much for allowing me into your home, and
A pleasure.
thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you have fun with the car.
Oh, I will.
Well, thank you for watching an Iain Tyrrell Moments video. We'll try and be along with something interesting again soon. Please like and subscribe. This is a fledgling channel. Your subscription would make a big difference to the algorithms. And thank you, and we'll be back with something else very soon.